Welcome back from the break. You're watching NewsX. I'm Uday Pratap Singh from the devastating Kazakhstan plane crash that claimed 38 lives to the South Korean airline crash. Their trajectory resulted in 179 fatalities. December has been the worst month for air travel. In a significant development, Russian President Vladimir Putin has extended a rare public apology following the tragic crash of an Azerbaijan airline plane, but he fell short of acknowledging that Russia's air defenses were directly responsible for downing the aircraft. Despite credible sources in multiple reports claiming so, the apology was framed within the context of a tragic incident that occurred over Russian airspace during a period of heightened tensions with Ukrainian drones. The question then arises is, why has the Russian president apologized without taking accountability for the Azerbaijan airline crash? And what does his statement really mean? Joining us live at this point is Punchok Stobdan, former diplomat, Crew Captain M.J. Augustine, former fighter pilot, is also live with us. Crew Captain V.N. Jha, former Indian Air Force officer, is joining us live. Major General Sudhakarji, defense expert, is also joining the broadcast. Ambassador Stobdan, let me begin with you first. What should be read into this latest statement by the Russian president? Ambassador Stobdan, can you hear me? Okay, I think we've lost his connection. Group Captain Augustine, why don't you take that? Your interpretation of this statement by the Russian president?
Uday, thank you for the question. There are a couple of very important issues that has developed since time the report has come out. I have serious doubt about certain aspects of the missile strike itself. The Pansir missile is a point defense missile. It is a replacement for Tunguska, and it does not have that much of range. Firstly, secondly, it works on a L-band radar, L131 or something. That is the radar. The L-band radar also is put there to be addressing UAV kind of target, small target. I really have my doubt, and that is why that article has a question mark as well. Very strategically, there is a question mark there. Pansir is not a missile I would put my money on to have this kind of impact. It's firstly radar guided, so it should have gone to the centroid of the reflection, which mostly is the center of the wing or where the maximum mass is, and not the tail. And Pansir also has another capability of manually guiding it at the terminal phase. That means there is a video feedback from the missile itself. During the last final phase, when the operator realized it is not a UAV, it is a airliner, did he try to take evasive action? But that is why we have these large puncture holes in the tail section. While the evasive maneuver was taken, was also a question that is arising in my mind. So there is a lot of questions that remains unanswered. Like you correctly pointed out, Uday, an apology without taking accountability has no meaning. Absolutely zero meaning in doing that. Will accountability be ever be taken is a question for you, the answer to which you and I and every panelist know. Putin is not the one who's going to say, I'm sorry and I did it. I don't think that is going to happen anytime soon, or that will ever happen. But point still remains, the larger point still remains is that dispatch people from Azerbaijan, how did they dispatch this aeroplane to Grozny, which was an active war zone? Or when the aeroplane changed over to Grozny, how did the civil controllers allow the aeroplane to enter the Russian territory when active air war was going on? Was there no talk between the military controllers and the military operations and the civil controllers is another question. In India, we have something called ADC. You cannot take off in India or pass over India without having an air defense clearance. What is the requirement for air defense clearance? Is that the civil controllers and the controllers of military, they have a dialogue. They know exactly at what time this particular aeroplane is going to follow what track, so that no amount of hot war or anything goes on, we don't misidentify somebody. That's the major requirement for an ADC, which means the cooperation, Uday, between fighter controller and the civilian controller at Grozny. Is it established as a procedure, or if it was established, was it working on that day? If it was, then there has been a gross coordination issue over there. That is the larger question. Now, that brings me to another point. I was speaking to one of the captains, my colleague, who flew in this area. And that was when MH17, if you remember, got shot down. I think it took off from Amsterdam or somewhere, going to Kuala Lumpur. It was a Boeing 777. Flying from predetermined route, PDR we call it, flying in a predetermined route, no weather deviation was taken. 777 was shot down from the sky. Now, how can this happen when everything is as per the book, filed flight plan, and you are flying in that area? That can only happen when you have not established a procedure between military and civil, not established a handshake between military and civil. I've raised this question earlier as well. China recently established, a lot of shindig was created and thrown about, that why this, why that, and stuff like that, but it is for safety. We need to understand that, because military
Do you
controllers
believe, Group Captain Jha, that this statement by the Russian president is all but an acknowledgement that there was a Russian involvement in this air tragedy? Do you believe that it is but certain now? Also, why has he stopped short of an apology then?
Well, Uday, very frankly speaking, what Russian president has spoken, I don't know. I have not heard directly what he had said, but it would have been translated by someone. Was it, acknowledging that yes, we shot it down, and that is how he's apologizing, or he's just feeling sorry? When I hear someone, sorry, I lost my mother, I say, I'm sorry to hear this. Was it that sort of sorry that yes, Azerbaijan plane has crashed, killing that many passengers of it? So we don't know about it. But you know that in aviation and in space, we work out any incident backward. Now, uh, for example, I'll tell you that in case if a plane has crashed, we pick up the thread from there where it has crashed, how it crashed, under what circumstances it crashed, what were the telltale signs, how were the last moments, control failure or anything seen. That is how we work out from thereafter, not into it. This aircraft had taken off from, as Augustine was telling you, that yes, it should not have taken off, it should not have gone to that zone. That we see a little later. First, we know that this plane has crashed. When it has come for crash landing, we have seen it descending. We have seen its, the landing gear was out. And we have seen a profile descending into the ground where after landing, somewhere during the landing, it has crashed and it has caught fire. So that's the accident. Now, how was the plane flying in case if it has been shot down earlier somewhere else, far away over the Grozny by a missile? Grupi Augustine had told you absolutely point blank that this missile, what it is expected to have hit the plane, doesn't have the capability to shoot down such a thing. And in case if the plane was really shot down, in case it has affected some of the control system, be it hydraulic system or something, it couldn't have flown under that guided with the it is coming for landing. Yes, one thing I have also noticed was the approach was rather steep for any passenger aircraft to come at that angle and then make a crash landing or whatever it is there. So that is one thing there. And secondly, the video clip what has been taken by some immature person behind a wall, we have seen it coming absolutely fine. Yes, it is always possible that if there was a shrapnel, there are some news in the air that over the Grozny, when this plane arrived there was a Ukrainian drone activity, and some missile has shot on there over there, and there were fears that some shrapnel out of it could have hit the plane. Yes, it is quite possible. If the people over that region, they acknowledge that yes, a missile had come and hit a drone and there could have been shrapnel hit this plane, by all means it is possible. So what sort of attack, what sort of damage has happened to this passenger airliner remains to be seen, because when it has crashed, post crash, what we have seen apparently is there is a telltale sign, there is a damage over the tail fin there, and also there is where the aircraft have broken, the tail portion has broken from the main portion. There is no, we haven't seen anything of a burn sort of thing, what usually happens with the missile attack over a plane. So, all this remains to be seen. By all means, first, my impression was that this plane has come at a very steep angle. Someone has tried to land for some reason that the air control towers in the region would have experienced what sort of communication has come from the pilot, what problem he was facing, or cockpit voice recorder, or the entire FTR system. When it will be analyzed, they will tell you that exactly what is gone wrong with the aircraft to have come at that steep angle and crash, land, and then fire is only the subsequent things. So this is what happens in a plane crash, that we pick up a thread from the end point and work backward, what all could have happened. We have a set of pattern of questions when we pose to the crew or to any one witness or to the aircraft controller in the vicinity, to the entire cockpit voice recorder or the flight control system. All these will be known to the team of investigation what it is doing there. But I think Russian agency have very rightly said that please don't speculate, let the investigation go on, and that is what will tell you what exactly has happened. Uday.
Okay, let me in fact quickly take that across to Major General Sudhakarji as well. Major General Sudhakarji, do we now have a better sense of understanding of what really happened on this flight after these latest statements by the Russian president and by others?
Uday, good evening. Thank you for getting the show, and compliments to the previous very distinguished and eminent panelists. They deserve to have the last say. They're the domain experts. My perspective, I look at things like this. Let's, for a change, let's not get into that speculative stage. Aviation disasters investigation will take time. Case in point is late General Bipin Rawat's helicopter crash. It happened sometime in December 2021, if I recall correctly. It has taken 3 years, and now it comes out that it was a human error. So much against our speculations of weather, technical, etc., now it is saying. So similarly, I would say that yes, it is a disaster, and which could have been avoided. The moot question which Group Captain Augustine raised is, I think, in aviation science, if Grozny was under fire, it actually raises multiple questions. Not only Grozny, there are 2 other places, total 3 places which are under attack by the Ukrainian drones. And therefore, the Pantsir air defense mechanism had been activated. And there are also claims by Russia sometime back. There is to applaud their achievement of having a well-integrated artificial intelligence into it, meaning that the complete system of air defense could operate or could have operated without human participation. So that's a very dangerous angle, which we have been talking from time to time. But NewsX has been playing a very lead role in sensitizing the population. But the issue is much beyond than that, is the statement, which perhaps you are trying to underscore. A statement by the president of Russia, if at all he is spoken to this particular, address this issue in that manner, extended an apology. I would say it is a soldierly response. It's a human angle. What worse can happen than a loss of 38 lives out of 67 passengers, including the crews in the aircraft? Whether it is the missile of Russia or otherwise, I look at it from a perspective of totally the worst has happened. He cannot get the lives back of these 38 people. And good, bad, ugly, whatever it may be, he's prepared. He said, hang me if you wish to. This is also an interpretation. Let's not discount this particular interpretation. The rest, I would give entire kudos to Group Captain Jha for the explanation which has given. And like day before yesterday or yesterday in your channel only, I had said, I am a non-aviator, but I have participated in some of the investigation, very critical investigation. And in that, what came out is that in the cockpit, there is a mechanism, like he said, the data track recorder, DTR. There is a voice recorder. And likewise, there are some mechanisms, there are contraptions or tools available, which on such kind of crashes, they are applied, the details are retrieved from the machine, and the dots are joined to get a larger picture. So let's have patience and let's wait. And the larger question which gets thrown up from here is, in this year itself, there have been a total of 3 crashes because of friendly fire. One is here, one sometime, I think, early part of this month. There was an aircraft, Hornet aircraft, F-18 of the Truman carrier, I think. This got shot down by a friendly fire of the US forces. And if you further look back sometime in January this year, one of the Reaper MQ-9 also got shot down by the German anti-aircraft guns. Similarly, if you look further back, sometime in 2020 or so, Iran had shot down the IRGC. They had shot down an aircraft which took off from Tehran and it was heading towards Kyiv. And like Group Captain Augustine also has recounted one of such kind of things which took off from Amsterdam or someplace and flying over a predetermined route. So when such things happen, actually the bigger moot question which comes up is, can a global body on civil aviation take some measures to prevent the occurrence of these kind of mishaps?
Ambassador Stobdan, come in here on, of course, this your reading of the Russian president's statement, what its ramifications are. Also, this pattern that we're seeing this year of multiple crashes and festive season mishaps in particular. Why is that? Are they connected or just a coincidence?
Well, I don't get second question, but as far as the statement by President Putin is concerned, it's a political statement. He wants to minimize the damage. While the investigation will take a long time, it could take even months. Meanwhile, I think there are political diplomatic angles and he has to cover that. So apologizing to President Ilham Aliyev is a political step, which I think it's a good one. Having said that, I don't think this was a deliberate attempt. It's accidental. Could be the Ukraine drone theory is correct. I don't know. Previous speakers have covered most of it. I'm not an Asian expert. But I lived in Aktau where the crash took place. It's a small town. Not a small, it's a big town. Oil refineries are there. It's on the Caspian bank. I do not know how the plane has reached Aktau when Grozny is on the other side of the Caspian Sea. It's on the west of Caspian. And now this is on the east in Kazakhstan. So I really don't know. There are a lot of theories are there. We have to wait for the investigation. But I would say that it's a tragic incident. It happens everywhere. But we just heard that in South Korea, another plane has crashed. So I don't know how to correlate all this.
This is concerning.
Aviation experts would be able to
This
tell
is concerning,
you.
Group Captain Augustine.
For aviation, it's a bad week for aviation. It's a bad month for aviation. Back to back, we have 4 of them. One going broken undercarriage going off the runway, one KLM, one Azerbaijan, and one this Jeju Airlines. But a lot of questions also, crops up in my mind is, as I'm looking at the video of the recent crash, a lot of things are coming up in my mind. And if you're going to do a wheels up landing, I'm talking about this Jeju crash. If you're going to do a wheels up landing, the flight crew operator manual very clearly says your flaps have to be 40 degrees. That means your flaps have to be fully down, which was not the case. And if flaps couldn't come down because of hydraulics, your reversers could not have been deployed in right engine. The reversers were deployed very clearly. You can see that. The Boeing has a beautiful capability where you can lower the undercarriage using gravity. You have 3 red handles. Individually, you can lower every undercarriage, and any one could have been lowered, and the mitigation of crash would have happened. Very similar to what we were discussing the Azerbaijan crash. If no crash, no accident happens unless like we say, the cheese holes gets aligned. Lot of things have to go wrong for accidents to happen. Just one incident alone, we can't say this is the incident that caused it. That may have been the last, straw that broke the camel's back. But don't forget, the other bales of straw is already on the camel's back. So those bales of straw is what we need to address, and that is what channels like you and people like us are trying to address. And probably it is reaching the right ears, and they will take corrective actions. It's if aviation and air travel is going to get hit like this in days to come, it is bad for the industry, bad for travelers, bad for tourists, bad for the country. People have to really, pull up their socks and come up with a solution. And I also squarely take, put this ball in ICAO's court. ICAO has to step in right now. It's an international civil aviation body. It has to step in at the right time. It is not to do postmortem. Sit in some ivory tower and see what happens, and हमें देखना है हम देखेंगे, हमें करना है हम करेंगे. It doesn't happen like that. So there's someone has to take accountability. Someone has to take the responsibility. We can keep speculating till cows come home, but that is not the answer. The answer lies in safety, and the answer is the ball is in ICAO's court. So they are the centralized body who have to take decisions on these things as time progresses. Over to you, Dave.
All right, Group Captain Jha, quick closing comment from you on, of course, this very dismal month for the aviation sector world over.
Absolutely. Before we started discussion with you, this is exactly we were discussing in ourselves. Usually, I have seen that whenever there is one accident, what takes place, there are a cropping of the many of the incidents that we have seen. But coming back to this particular crash that we are discussing about, Uday, what happens whenever a fatal aircraft accident or Cat 1 accident happens? There is a usually mosaic picture of the events happening. There could be human factors, there could be aircraft factor, there could be organizational factor, there could be environmental factors. Usually many of them come together, and then that is what usually causes the fatal aircraft accident or Cat 1 accident, where a lot of damages go in there. So they are the usual experience that I have seen. I have also participated in about 7 fatal aircraft accidents. That is the type of experience that I carry from there. In this particular picture, I still tend to agree with the patients that yes, the diplomat have said that yes, it could be a political statement from President Putin. But as an aviation expert, I can tell you that we have to wait for those important data which comes out either from the flight data recorder or the cockpit voice recorder, and that is where we have to pick up the thread. I told you, in aviation and in space, we work out backwards. If a spacecraft has to go into a particular orbit at a particular inclination, we work out from that moment backwards to the launch. And then for the launch, we create a window period that yes, you have to launch this particular satellite within that launch period to land up there. This is the system what works with the aviation as well.
Okay.
In this particular accident, I think we have to look at it.
We've run out of time. My thanks to our guests for joining us on this broadcast. We're stepping into a very short break. News.